The night cracked open with a sound like breaking glass and a scream swallowed by traffic, the kind of scream that doesn't echo but sinks straight into the pavement. Behind a flickering gas station sign, under a sky smeared with exhaust and neon, a uniformed figure stumbled and fell, and the darkness closed in as if it had been waiting all along. This was not a headline yet, not a viral clip, not even a whisper. It was just a moment when courage met cruelty in a place no one was supposed to see. Before the story pulls you deeper, take a second and do something small that means a lot. If you believe in kindness, in second chances, in the idea that people can surprise you in the best ways, please like this video, drop a comment, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to the channel. It helps these stories find the people who need them most. Officer Maya Torres had learned early how nights could turn. She worked patrol on the edge of the city where the sidewalks were cracked, the streetlights unreliable, and the calls came slow and sudden like punches. She had grown up not far from here, the daughter of a mechanic and a nurse, taught to fix what you could and stand your ground when you couldn't. That night, she was alone, circling a neighborhood where the map showed nothing unusual and experience said otherwise. The gas station on the corner had been robbed twice that month, and when a silent alarm flickered on her dashboard and then died, she pulled in without backup, trusting her instincts the way cops sometimes do when paperwork and patience feel heavier than the badge. Behind the station, the air smelled of oil and damp cardboard. The dumpsters were lined up like guilty secrets, and the hum of traffic on the main road made the alley feel insulated, cut off. Maya stepped out, hands steady, senses wide, the way she'd been trained. She didn't see them at first. They moved like shadows that had learned how to breathe. 4 men who had chosen that place because it promised privacy. They had already decided what kind of night it would be. The first blow came from the side, knocking her off balance. The second took her down. The world tilted, the gravel bit into her palms, and the uniform that had made her feel protected suddenly felt like a target painted bright. She fought, because that's what she did, because training and stubbornness and pride left no other option. But numbers are a cruel arithmetic. Hands grabbed, boots kicked, laughter cracked the air like dry wood. Somewhere in the chaos, her radio skittered away, its small red light blinking uselessly. The city kept breathing, indifferent. Pain narrowed her world to flashes and sounds. She thought of her mother's voice telling her to keep her chin up. She thought of the first time she'd put on the uniform and felt taller. She thought absurdly of the coffee she hadn't finished. She did not think help was coming. Not yet. Across the street, in a lot lit by a broken lamp, a row of motorcycles sat like a congregation of steel and chrome. The men and women near them had gathered for reasons that had nothing to do with her. They were passing time, swapping stories, waiting out the night. Leather vests bore patches that made people cross the street. Engines idled low, a sound that could be mistaken for menace or comfort, depending on who was listening. The Hells Angels had a reputation that arrived before they did, thick with rumor and fear, painted by decades of headlines that rarely told the whole story. One of them noticed movement behind the station, not because he was looking for trouble, but because he had learned to see when the night shifted wrong. Another heard something in the scream that cut through the traffic noise, a pitch that didn't belong to bar fights or drunken bravado. They looked at each other, and something unspoken passed between them, something older than patches and politics. Engines went quiet. Boots hit asphalt. They did not rush in wild. They moved with purpose, a line forming where there had been none. The alley changed as they entered it, the way a room does when authority arrives, even if that authority doesn't wear a badge. The thugs turned, surprised, calculations scrambling. Fear is a fickle thing, it knows when the odds have shifted. The attackers scattered, some running, some tripping over their own bravado. A fist connected, a grip tightened, but it was over faster than Maya could understand. The night exhaled. Maya lay there, stunned, trying to catalog injuries the way she'd been taught, trying not to black out. She felt hands near her and tensed, ready to fight again, and then she heard the engines not roaring but settling, felt a jacket draped over her shoulders, smelled leather and oil instead of garbage and blood. Someone knelt, careful, not touching where it hurt. Someone else stood watch, eyes scanning the alley like sentries. The men who had been monsters in stories were suddenly the only thing between her and the dark. Sirens finally found their way, blue and red painting the brick walls, restoring the world to something recognizable. Paramedics worked, voices calm, professional. Fellow officers arrived, faces tight with anger and relief. Statements were taken, names exchanged, a few glares thrown that didn't quite land because gratitude has a way of disarming suspicion. The bikers didn't posture, they didn't ask for thanks. They melted back toward their machines as if this were just another turn in the road. Maya spent the night in the hospital, stitched and bruised, her body aching in a way that would take weeks to fade. The doctors said she was lucky. She knew luck had little to do with it. As she lay there under fluorescent lights, she replayed the moment when the alley had filled with unexpected guardians. She thought about how thin the line was between stories we tell and truths we never bother to learn. News travels fast when it smells like irony. A female cop attacked. A notorious motorcycle club intervened. The comments sections filled with arguments that missed the point. Some praised the bikers like saints. Others insisted on seeing the world in hard lines, good and bad neatly separated. Maya watched it all from a distance, focusing on physical therapy and paperwork and the quiet work of putting herself back together. But something had shifted inside her, a crack that let a different light in. Weeks later, she returned to duty, cautious but resolute. The gas station alley no longer felt like a trap, but a reminder. She drove past the lot where the motorcycles sometimes gathered and felt a strange warmth. She didn't wave. She didn't need to. The city had a way of remembering what mattered, even if it pretended not to. The Hells Angels, for their part, didn't turn the incident into a banner. They kept riding, kept living in the margins where judgment is loud and nuance rare. But among themselves, something softened. They talked about the night not as a victory, but as a line they were glad they hadn't crossed by staying out of it. They remembered the look on the officer's face when she realized she wasn't alone, and it stayed with them in the quiet hours on long roads. Time did what it always does, sanding edges, turning trauma into something survivable. Maya spoke at a community event months later, not about policy or crime rates, but about paying attention, about refusing to look away. She didn't name names. She didn't need to. People knew. And some of the people who listened had leather vests folded over chairs, patches hidden, eyes thoughtful. The city never became a fairy tale. Bad nights still came, sirens still cut through sleep. But there were moments now, small and stubborn, when strangers stepped up, when reputations cracked and humanity leaked through. Maya carried that with her on every shift, a private talisman against cynicism. If this story has been moving you, if you feel that knot in your chest that says something real is happening here, please take a moment now to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Stories like this survive because people choose to pass them on, because you decide they matter. On the anniversary of the attack, Maya drove past the gas station again, slower this time. The sign still flickered. The alley still waited. She parked and stood there for a minute, breathing in the night, feeling the weight of the uniform and the strength in her legs. Somewhere nearby, an engine rumbled low. Not a threat, but a presence. She smiled, just a little, and got back in her car, ready for whatever the city would throw next. Before the ending, I have a special request for you. Please comment below with one word that describes how this story made you feel. Your words might help someone else feel less alone. Because sometimes the unthinkable isn't the violence we expect from the shadows, but the mercy that rides in when we've given up on it, reminding us that help can come from the least likely places, and that even in the darkest alleys, humanity still knows the way.